We're live, pal. Welcome to
Go for the Pin Wrestling Review Show.
With your boys Mikey Q and
King V, aka Ember Moon Knight, aka Michelle McCool Running, aka Summer Ray Charles,
Mikey Q and King V.
King V, what's going on, homie?
Give your energy and feed that vibe into the world.
Mike, you still owe me a chopped cheese.
I mean,
Go for it, kid.
We're live, pal. Welcome to Go for the Pen, episode 81, with your boys Mikey Q and
King V, aka Sensational Sherry Shepherd, and I am. I'm sorry.
V.
That one made me laugh. Oh.
Ray's in the building. What's going on, Ray? Anyway, we're live to cover a wrestling. But we also have a very, very special guest in the building. You guys asked for him, okay? I listened to the people, V. That's all I did. I listened to the people.
Unlike, other places.
Well, the people have spoken, okay?
Yeah.
And they said, oh, yeah, how could I forget? Jonathan's in the building. Let's get it 2 years and running strong. Yes, happy anniversary to Go for the Pen show.
Yeah.
And thank you all for being such great supporters of the show. We really appreciate all of you guys. Now, like I was saying, we have a very special guest in the building today. You guys asked for him, and we did it. We made it happen. I went to extreme lengths to make this happen. Okay?
Yeah.
I practically had to beg and plead for this to happen here tonight.
Sell it.
Okay? Guys, I have my legendary father in the building. Mr. Bellamy is in the building.
yeah.
Welcome to the show, Dad.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, yes, Jonathan, I made it happen, Knuckles. You asked for him. He's here. Do we look alike? We do look alike. All right. Well, welcome to the show. And it's on our anniversary.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Now, let's just start right off. Jonathan says yes. Let's start right off. What got you into wrestling? What is your earliest memory of professional wrestling?
Being in my grandmother's house in Queens at about 9 years old and watching WWE on Channel 9 at 9 o'clock.
That's UPN now. Well, it was UPN.
It was
I don't even
UPN
know.
at the
I don't
time.
know what it is.
No, at the time.
My 9. I think I think that's what it's called. My 9 here in New York.
Well, at that time, it was just a local channel. Okay. They didn't start becoming this network until around the late 80s. Okay. But before then, they was just a local channel. And that was it. In fact, WWE was on Channel 9, Channel 11, and Channel 5 on the weekends, okay, in the afternoon, okay, and they was all local stations. And if you was in the South at that time, WWE wasn't big because you couldn't find them on too many stations.
Because it was like the territory days still, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what gravitated you towards wrestling? Like, what did you see that was like, oh, this is what I like?
Actually, it was Ivan Putski and Tony Guerrero. Okay. And Gorilla Monsoon, um, Pat Patterson, okay, uh, Bruno Sammartino. Those people brought me into wrestling. It was just something about it that I liked.
Okay, all right. You Bruno Sammartino. Very interesting because Bruno, had a rocky relationship with Vince McMahon after a certain point. Was that Bonji in the chat there? Bonji says NWA and all of them. I remember them days. That's when my brother was watching. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
oh, V.
NWA. Well, when I started watching NWA was later on. Um, this was in, I would say, the late 70s, early 80s, when it started to be here on in the New York market. Okay, and actually, that's when I became a wrestling fan because I moved away at a point from WWE programming. Okay, because it was more true wrestling in the NWA, um, Florida wrestling. Okay, and Florida wrestling had Blackjack Mulligan. I saw Barry Windham when he first started, and he started in Florida wrestling. And this is not the WWE Florida wrestling, okay, but this was Florida wrestling.
Yeah, not to be confused with FCW.
CW.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Tagging legends. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to hog the whole conversation. I don't
I
know.
mean, it's your pops.
I can talk to them all the time. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. The people
We
don't
have
get a
these
chance to talk to them.
conversations all the time.
Okay. When did you notice that Mike was into wrestling?
I noticed when he was about 11. Okay. Uh, Michael, really, I would like to say that his grandmother and me got him into it because he used to watch a lot of wrestling with us. Okay. The only thing I didn't have him watching was ECW at the time because ECW was not PG.
Well, to be fair, neither was the WWE
Yeah.
at the time. So
No, the original ECW was worse.
no denying. I'm no denying that it wasn't WWE, but WWE at the time was not PG either. I mean, WWE was was crazy back then. And that is actually one of the reasons my mother did not want me watching wrestling. That's another reason why I didn't watch. I didn't watch wrestling all the time because my mom didn't want me watching wrestling. So that's why I tell on this podcast and to anybody that will listen. uh I actually missed most of the Attitude Era because my mom didn't want me watching it. My father and my grandmother was always huge fans, right? My grandmother used to love The Undertaker. That was, and The Rock and all of those guys. But yeah, my mom did not want me watching it. But eventually, she knew that I loved it and she would watch it with me. But she didn't want me watch it. And she used to love The Rock, but who didn't love The Rock? So but yeah. All right, hold on. V, you can read it.
All right. What is your fondest memory? Because I can read of Mike marking out while you guys will watch a pay per view or a premium live event.
I mark out all the time. But go ahead, I'll let him answer the question.
Yeah, that's really true. He does uh mark out all the time. Okay, I mean, recently it was about Oscar's return, and that wasn't a pay per view.
Listen, I love wrestling. You know, like I'm
Yeah,
not ashamed to say it. WWE was more PG, borderline R rated.
Yeah,
OG ECW was worse. Yes, that's what I'm saying. WWE back in the day was crazy. Like, Jonathan said that was 2 years. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
Mike marks a lot.
I
Quite a bit.
do.
Yeah.
I do. I do. Okay. So you said you kind of moved away from WWE. That happened a couple of times, right? You were more of a WCW fan, I believe, during the Attitude Era, and then once TNA was invented, you started watching more TNA. So you,
And Ring of Honor too.
well, that came along a lot later, but
And you see, you forget. Well, you wasn't even around then. That I, like I said, I was split uh between WWE, NWA, you know, between those two at one time, and the same thing with WCW and TNA. Okay, um, that's well. This has nothing to do with what you said, but that's the problem where when WWE say they are the women's revolution and everything, okay, that's only because they the biggest platform. But TNA was doing women's wrestling and way back, okay, when they got Kong, Gail Kim, okay, Jackie, okay, their women's wrestling was far superior to WWE at one point, and also they uh they had an all women's pay per view way before WWE had what was it, Evolution? Yeah, way before they had Evolution, they had a pay per view, which at the time I remember for that time it did a lot of buys. Okay, so WWE is not the first company; they actually behind the times.
no, it's true.
This is very true.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Well,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead, V.
no, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, WWE's always been behind the times, but because they are the biggest platform, it looks like they're doing something new when they're really not.
It's just like the WWE has always stolen gimmicks from smaller promotions. Okay. A lot of smaller promotions, they have took their gimmicks, and because they are a big platform, okay, they do have the money. It seems like they originated it. Okay. Um it's less just face paint and all of that originated really in NWA, the Road Warriors. Okay. But WWE was global. So now when they saw this was working, what did they do? They put together a team with face paint and similar to the Road Warriors, Axe and Smash,
What was that? Demolition, right?
Demolition.
Yeah.
I mean, Demolition eventually came into their own. Don't get me wrong, but their beginnings was from the Road Warriors, and they didn't have the Road Warriors at the time. The Road Warriors was an NWA creation.
Ray asks, how many times did you hear "Get 'em boys, slap 'em" when you watch wrestling with your grandmother, Mike? No, my grandmother was a little bit more vulgar than that, so I actually can't repeat some of the things that my grandmother
Yeah.
used to say to the television while she would watch wrestling. Yeah, Ray says his grandmother would get up in the face. Get up with the face wrestlers. Okay, start moving around with the wrestlers and everything. Yeah, my grandmother was animated like that too. We miss her.
Yeah.
Wardlow and the Barbarian. Yeah. Okay. Let's get into some of the stuff that's going on today. I mean, so who is your favorite wrestler right now in the business? Doesn't matter what company they're
in. Who's my favorite? I don't have. I have favorites.
Okay, so some of your favorites.
Roman Reigns, Kenny Omega, John Moxley.
Please don't say Roman. We ain't forget. We're gonna have you on to debate this Roman thing. I need to know. I need to know this issue. But yeah.
Well, Roman wasn't my favorite. He became my favorite when he became the tribal chief, because I think that's what always Roman should have been. And Vince McMahon was trying to push this baby face superhero, and it just wasn't that great. Yeah.
Speaking of superheroes, right? That was pushed. How do you Bonji. Here's a hot take. How do you feel about Terry Bollea, aka Hulk Hogan?
Oh. I Do you really want me to say?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. First of all, I'm going back. Now I'm going back to years.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm scared.
Get our sponsors ready.
First of all, okay. Hogan, the only reason he became big was on name, because he was in a Rocky movie. And that's what Vince wanted, someone who had a name already. Okay. He had the look, but as a wrestler, okay, his ability, he was in the AWA. He never beat Nick Bockwinkel for the title. Okay. Hogan was a loser. Okay. Because Vince decided he wanted Hogan to be the champion. He did a Bret Hart on Bob Backlund.
Explain that for the younger people that may
Whew.
not know
Yep.
what you're talking about with the Montreal. What's it? Uh, who
The
did you say?
original, the screw job with Oh God.
Bret Hart.
No,
Yes.
no, the
Oh,
first one.
No, the first one.
Bob Backlund is who you're talking about,
Bob.
right?
oh,
Yes,
Bob
Bob
Backlund.
Backlund.
Bonji agrees
Okay,
with you, says facts, and Jonathan says this man speaks the truth. This is my dad, guys. But yeah, please
okay.
continue.
First of all, I was at Madison Square Garden. Okay, I saw it live. Uh, they wanted Bob Backlund out. Okay, the Sheik was sent there to do the job. The Iron Sheik. Uh, he got what was that? His move. He got Backlund in and
The camel clutch, right?
Camel
Camel
Clutch.
Clutch.
Arnold Skolin, who was Backlund's manager, threw in the towel on Backlund. Backlund never tapped. He never gave up or anything. He just threw in the towel, and the Iron Sheik was the champion. Okay. And later on that week, they was on Channel 5, okay, around 11, 12 o'clock. And what happened was Backlund came on and he was saying how dirty the WWE was, how dirty Arnold Skolin was, because he thought he was his friend, and what they did to him. And then you never saw Backlund again after that, okay, because Vince McMahon was doing the interviewing at the time. And at the time, nobody knew Vince McMahon was also the owner of the company. So Backlund was crying about that. And a little side note, Don Morocco came in because that same event was the event when Snooker took his famous dive off the cage, and you actually saw him break Don Morocco's ribs. Okay. Uh, but anyway, that's how Bob Backlund winded up getting screwed, like Bret Hart. Okay, and Vince has did this. They talk about the Montreal job, but Vince, I know, have did it on Bob Backlund. He has did it to Wendy Rector. Okay, nobody talks about those.
I think
But
because it was so long ago that and they didn't have the internet and all this other stuff back then that a lot of people don't know that happened because or if they know, it's not something that's talked about. The Wendy Rector one, I believe, was actually discussed on Dark
Dark
Side of
Side
the
of
Ring.
the Yeah,
Yeah.
because I can say a
Um
lot of things about the Fabulous Moolah that I won't say because your dad's here.
well, you can say it because I say the same thing. Moolah,
Oh, okay.
Moolah, just say she was something. Okay. And
Yeah.
she was about the money. Okay. She was about the moolah. Okay.
yeah.
And whatever dirty thing she had to do, Moolah would do. But
So oh god, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, but what was the original question?
Well, I asked you about Hogan, but
Oh,
yeah.
Hogan.
Yeah.
Well, now here comes Hogan. His first match was a I think it was his first or second match. Was a championship match against the Sheik, where he did his whole thing with getting beat down by the Sheik, hulking up, Okay, the big boot, the leg drop, and he wins the match. And he stays champion. And the only reason
For like 5 years or something, right? It was crazy.
Hogan was champion is because Vince wanted him. He had the popularity, and also Vince at that time, excuse me, was going more global. Okay, and he was going for a more kids market. Okay, he wanted to sell action figures and the merchandising because that's where the money was. And it's like everyone says, and that's where I started to move away from WWE. Not wrestling, but WWE because of Hogan, because now it became too ridiculous for me as a fan, as a hardcore fan. In fact, it became a joke um, where Hogan gets beat down, okay, and then he hulks up, does the big boot, the leg drop, and the match is over. Now, I can't recall any classic or near classic matches that Hogan has had.
I think the
I can think of
closest.
one. I can
Okay,
think
Uh,
of
go
one.
ahead, V. Yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead, V.
Him and Sean.
Well, that's because
Yeah.
Sean went out there and did Sean.
Ooh,
And
Because
that's
I
funny.
gotta say something. Okay, everybody got on Sean for doing what he did. You
we're
know,
talking about SummerSlam '05, I believe.
yeah. Everyone got on Sean. Okay. Uh Hogan didn't want to do business. Okay. And then they wanted him to basically lay down for Hogan. So, he has wrestled the Undertaker. He has wrestled good matches. Now he's gonna take uh, a big boot and a leg drop. I'm gonna do the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, the original plan was supposed to be, I think they were supposed to do 3 matches. Okay, and then it was down to 2, and then it was just, no, brother, we're just gonna do the one.
Mm.
But guess what? I'm not gonna come to Raw to help you promote this. You're on your own, brother. And you know, they would go to Sean with these. Well, Sean would go to Hulk with these ideas, and Hulk would say, "That's not gonna work for me, brother." So it Hogan didn't want to do business, and just like he said, and that's why Sean did what Sean did. Let me see. Just I want to cover Bonji's comment. I was wondering when Backlund went. I just want to be clear on Backlund. Backlund did come back to the WWE after that. It wasn't like he,
Yeah.
he came back in the 90s. That happened in the 80s. I think he came back in the 90s. He actually won the championship. Didn't he beat Diesel for the championship or something like that? In the 90s, once, and then he dropped it back. I think like as soon as he won it.
But Mike,
Yeah.
not to interrupt you, but everybody winds up coming to the WWE. If not for anything, they come back for the money.
Yeah.
Because the WWE is where the money's at.
Definitely.
Okay.
Ray said Vince could have hired me if he wanted to sell action figures. That's what Ray said. Jonathan has the famous Paul Heyman line and said the only reason that Hogan was champion was because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. Very funny when Paul was shooting on JBL, because he said the only reason that JBL was champion for a year is because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. Of course, alluding to Triple A, alluding to SmackDown when it was recorded on Tuesdays. Hulk Hulk up equals Super Cena. I prefer Cena.
Cena, yes,
I prefer Cena.
yes.
Um,
Cena is a far better wrestler than Hogan ever was. Okay. Uh Whatever you gotta say about Cena. You may Cena did what popped the crowd, but Cena could wrestle. And if you look at Cena's early career, Cena was a wrestler. It wasn't until later he started popping the crowd because now he goes, "You can't see me," but that's like a gimmick. That's like Rock's people's elbow, which they both everybody knew that was a ridiculous move, but
it was so terrible. The people's
yeah,
elbow is terrible.
It's
it
awful.
was,
Terrible.
you know, but it was entertaining.
Right. Definitely
Okay.
entertaining. Definitely
Uh,
entertaining.
Hogan, after a while, like I said, the hulking up became a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Ray said if Sean would have pulled out of the match, Sean would have actually had a SummerSlam undefeated streak up until that point. Did not know that.
Mm.
Bonji said, yeah, I remember, but he did disappear for a while. To your Backlund point. Oh, he beat Brett. Okay, Backlund beat Brett, not Diesel. Okay. Backlund beat Brett when Owen threw in the towel. Diesel beat him at the house show in 17 seconds. That's what you was talking about earlier, John. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it now. Just trying to get through some of the comments. We appreciate everybody that watches and comments and supports. So we try to get through these comments. Yeah, Cena was a true wrestler until after the Jericho rivalry. Yeah, well, the Jericho rivalry, it's funny because that's when they really started turning on him.
Yeah.
Turning on Cena. It started a little bit at WrestleMania that year. Against was it Triple H? Was that the Triple H Mania main event? It might have been Triple H
I'm
because I
not
feel
sure.
like I think it was Triple H because then he faced Shawn Michaels the next year. The Triple H Mania match is where they started kind of turning on Cena a little bit, and in the Jericho match they was like fully behind Jericho, but Jericho was leaving, so you know. Okay,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
one other thing about Hogan.
Yeah.
What got Hogan over was also when he lifted Andre. When he lifted Andre the Giant, okay, that really established Hogan. Okay, that's what got help. One of the things that helped to get him over, and that was at the first WrestleMania?
WrestleMania 3.
Yeah, or third. Either way, I watched them. Okay, because I remember they didn't have pay per view. They didn't have streaming at this time. Uh, we had to go to the Felt Forum, which was part of Madison Square Garden. Okay, to see the match on the big screen. And I bought tickets and I saw it. And I remember everybody was going, "Oh wow," when the reaction in the place when Hogan picked up Andre, because this is, I think, the first time Andre has been lifted. Up until then, Andre was giant. You was
Now, legend has it
I
that it did.
believe it has happened before.
Yeah, legend
Yeah.
has it that it happened before, but that was like the big moment, you know. But legend hasn't that it actually did happen before. But that was obviously
Yeah.
the most notable,
Right.
you know, slam. Okay,
That was shown worldwide.
right. any old school questions? Because I want to try to get
I
And
don't have
guys, my dad
um
has over 50 years of wrestling experience and watching wrestling. So
Yeah.
yeah.
he has a lot of knowledge on the wrestling business. So I go to him for a lot. So yeah, you guys feel free to anything from that time period he was watching then. So
Yeah, ECW. I was at an ECW, many ECW events. Okay, I was there. Um, and it was funny because a couple of years ago, when WrestleMania was here, we saw Rhino. And remember, we asked, could we take a picture? And Rhino looked at me and says, yeah, I got to take a picture with this guy because I didn't think he remembered me.
yeah, you'd be
But
surprised. Well,
yeah,
yeah, Ray, more than 50 years of wrestling experience watching wrestling.
yes.
Yes. Um Yeah, I mean it's amazing. Um, do you remember your first wrestling event that you went to?
Mm. The first one I went to, I was about 16, and I think it was a match. I don't remember who was else was there. I remember Bruno Sammartino, and I went there because me and a couple of my friends, we got tickets to Madison Square Garden, and we went there. Um, and it was on a Monday night, and basically it was a house show. That's all they did then, you know. So we went there, and that was it. My first match was round 16 at Madison Square Garden, and uh, and it had Bruno Sammartino. Little side note: speaking of Bruno, uh, I was there when he was having the championship match with the Baron. Okay, that's when, huh?
No. I was reading the comment.
Oh,
I'll read it. So John asks, was there ever a moment you had to console a young Mikey Q while watching wrestling together? Remember, I wasn't that young when I first started watching it. So, but not that I remember.
no, but what-
Uh
but what I'm gonna say, I learned not to sit in the front when I went to this match with Bruno. Okay, um, the Baron actually bit the skin out of Bruno's head and spit it, and it landed right in front of me.
Oh,
Go for the pin, everybody.
oh my God.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Whoa. Yeah.
yeah,
Whew.
and
Now I don't sit.
I said, this man actually bit his head. Okay, uh, it may be the finish, maybe because even then I knew the finishes was pre-planned, but they went in there to really beat each other up in between, and he bit his head, and it was I was leaving the garden. I remember, and me and my friend, uh, we walked by this ambulance, And just so happened, we walked by. For some reason, we decided to look in the ambulance. And there was Bruno. Okay. Of course, we didn't ask him for an autograph. That would have been cool because he was sitting up in the ambulance with 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 with
Hold on, guys.
with
Hold on. Well, we're having some technical difficulties, everybody. Just give me a second, and we'll be
right back?
right back. Yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
right back. I am gonna figure out what happened, and yeah, and we will be back in a second.
All right.
What's good? You know, it's the hottest flame here, Kiera Hogan, and you're watching or listening to Go for the Pin, hosted by King V and Mike EQ. Go for the Pin gets the win each week with their weekly review show discussing all happenings in pro wrestling. Mike, you still owe me a chopped cheese. Thanks for the support.
Hello, everybody. This is former WWE diva and former 5-time champion Melina. And I wanted to send a shout out to Go for the Pin Wrestling Review Show. And I wanted to say hi to Mikey Q and King V. And thank you. Thank you for having your show because, I don't know, it warms my heart to know that people are, there's a place where you could watch and you could talk about what I love most in this world, other than my pup dogs, is wrestling. So I'm sending y'all nothing but love. Mwah.
All right, botch. We're back.
and
Botch.
speaking of Hogan, except for WCW, okay, I didn't like Hogan. I didn't respect Hogan. Okay,
Coming
huh?
back hot, huh?
Okay, till this day. Okay, I don't think he should be in anybody's Hall of Fame. Hogan, they say he made the business. No, Vince McMahon made the business. Okay, and that's all I have to say.
Do you think Vince is out of touch?
Um, do I think Vince is out of touch? To a certain degree, he is. Okay. Uh, and Vince wants things his way, and it's his way or the highway. Okay. Um, and I know, well, like why he went to sports entertainment as far as wrestling. Even though the WWE has wrestling in the name, Vince used sports entertainment or superstar. This have to do with Vince basically years ago there was a whole thing about wrestling being fake, and being that Vince was the largest company at the time, the WWE took the flat. Okay. And basically, he says, well, we're going to get away from wrestling and we're going to call it sports entertainment. This way we don't get the flag. And that's the reason why. Okay. Instead of having his wrestlers be called wrestlers, we're going to distinguish ourselves from the wrestling business by calling them superstars.
Wow, a lot of great insight there. A lot of great insight. All right. Well, this is a hear myself. Oh,
Oh,
there's no feedback, right, V? We're
No,
good.
no,
All
no,
right.
you good.
no.
Last time.
Okay. Um, let's get into some of the stuff that happened this week. We're not doing the normal review every show. But and my dad watches everything. So hold on. Bonji says, was that when a wrestler slapped a dude and got sued? Can't remember his name. Was it David? What's his name? I know who you're talking about. That interview where he was like, "Yeah, I think it's fake," and he just slapped him. And it, yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I don't remember him either.
This was around that time. Okay. A lot of incidents happened. Just like people think that uh Vince want PG or he's cut down on the blood and everything because you know he became incorporated. Even JR spells that. Okay. He says, well, they're a corporation. But Vince, they moved away before they incorporated from blood. Okay. They moved away from that. They moved away from the more violent aspect because Linda was running on she was running for an office, okay, in Connecticut. And that's why they was going on a nonviolence platform. That's why they moved away from that. It wasn't because they incorporated. Okay, that's a lot of garbage. It was simply a political move for Linda. And also, with that move, it allowed them to incorporate.
I think you mean the publicly traded company is like what.
Public, yeah.
Okay. Well, they went public in 2000. So it wasn't them going public that made them cut down on the blood. It is what you not just the blood, but just go to PG in general. It was because of Linda. That I mean, but they haven't really hid that. That's a known fact that they went to PG because of Linda running for office, and they've been there ever since. But at the same time, I think they also did it because it's easier to market to kids and you make more money marketing to children.
Right.
Because when you can't have children watching the show, they don't come to the shows and they don't buy the merchandise. And you kind of get two for the price of one in a sense if you market to children, right? The kids can't buy their own tickets to the shows, so then they go to the parents and they want them to they want to go to the show.
Right.
Well, if it's too violent and it's too, adult, some adults don't want to take their kids to this type of show. So they found out that, well, if we market the children, the parents have to come either way. Even if they don't want to watch WWE, the kids want to watch WWE. So now they have two tickets or possibly three or four if you're making it a family event. So
Right.
in WWE, if you go to these shows, right, and I try to go to a lot of wrestling shows every year, especially like pre-pandemic, but especially now that everything is open again, um when you go to these shows, it's a very different atmosphere when you go to a WWE show versus when you go to like an AEW show or anything honestly that's not WWE. When you
Mm.
go to an indie show, when you go to WWE show, you know that you're at a family show. There's no question about it. It's a family show. So when people ask, "Oh, why can't they do blood? Oh, why can't they do this? Why can't they?" Because it is a family show. It really is. It's a family show.
And they started that before Linda, because like I said, during the Hogan era, okay, they started it. That's why a lot of things became so hokey. Okay. Um and if you ever notice wrestlers that yeah, the Disney of pro
I
wrestling.
forgot you could see
I
the
saw
comments.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Got my dad hosting the show. Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
But that's kind of true because if you ever notice the Harley races, the Dusty Roads, the Ric Flairs, all of them who came from NWA, they became watered down when they went to the WWE. And for me, because I saw them in NWA, okay, so I know when they came, they was watered down. Okay, you had Harley Race, who was a major player in NWA. Okay, he comes to WWE, and I hated him being King Harley Race, wearing this crown and everything. That wasn't the Harley Race that I knew. Okay, the Harley Race I knew was a wrestler. He wasn't an action figure. He was a wrestler. He went out there and he was a rough and tumble guy that you did not want to mess with. Okay. And the same as Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, because I saw Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair matches. I saw Harley Race and Ric Flair matches. Okay. They get to the WWE and it's like they're a bunch of wusses. You know, the WWE has always did that. Water down wrestlers. And that's why I hate when I see a lot of good wrestlers go from Ring of Honor to Ring of Honor, okay, uh TNA,
Impact
okay,
Wrestling.
huh? Impact Wrestling. All those when I see them go there, I understand they go in there for the money and also they go in there because it's a big stage. But I know what WE is gonna do to a lot of them. And they may bring them in. It's the same thing. If you're not Raw or SmackDown, even if you NXT, you can be a star in NXT and they bring you to the main roster and you're not doing anything.
We see it all the time. We see it all the
Okay.
time.
Look at Oscar.
Well,
Uh,
no, Oscar got a push when she made to the main roster. Oscar, I wouldn't say Oscar, but there's tons of people.
but what happened after she lost to Charlotte?
I mean, she went down the card a little bit, but then she won the
That,
title again. I mean, so Oscar's done pretty well. She's a former tag team champion as well. Oscar did pretty well. Let me get to these questions, and this is a masterclass in the history of wrestling. I really appreciate this. Thank you, John. Thank you, and thank you, Dad, for being on the show. Okay. Ray asks if you could change the wrestling industry now, what would you change about it?
mm, the industry itself. Didn't Nothing really. It's very okay. Today is a great time for wrestling because there's so many different promotions out there. Uh, if you don't like this, you have this, and there's not too much of a change. Okay, with the industry.
All right, V, is there something you want to cover before we get out of here with in regards to this week
Um,
in wrestling?
welcome back, Oscar.
Welcome back, Oscar.
I'm just gonna run it down.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Oscar. Congrats to Scorpio Sky again.
Yeah.
Which, sure, I guess. Well,
I'm
not.
not a fan of them hot potato in the title, but I get it.
It's not even that. What was the point of him losing just to win it again?
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Yeah.
the issue that I have. I'm not even gonna say anything about the hot potato win because I would rather have a couple of quick, cool reigns instead of one boring, long one.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
I can't be really too mad about that. Yeah, that's all I got. Welcome back, Oscar, and congrats, Scorpio Sky again.
Trying to think. Well, yeah, I guess. So, is there anything from this past week? Um, any show? I think we watched everything except NXT. Um, is there anything?
Ye-
Oh, John just says Dax and Cash gave us a classic, beautiful way to honor Bret Owen.
Oh,
I agree.
Yes,
so good.
yes. Oh yeah. I have nothing but praise for them. Okay. Uh and I hope they don't go back to the WWE.
Yeah, there's rumors that FTR is probably gonna go back to WWE when their contract's up with AEW. We'll see. Remains to be seen.
So
Um, CM Punk
checks cleared.
versus CM Punk versus Hangman, main event for Double or Nothing. They're doing it.
Yeah.
Um, we'll have more on that, I'm sure. Um, is there anything? What happened on SmackDown? Was there anything on SmackDown was pretty forgettable.
Last week was really just a blur in wrestling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was a
yeah,
blur.
yeah.
Um,
Well, guys.
oh,
Oh, go ahead.
I was well. Also, I want to talk about something that I'm happy about is that you have this more diversity in both companies, WWE and AEW. Because if you notice, all their champions, except for one, I'm going to say is people of color. Okay.
Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are the tag team champions.
Okay, two. Two.
Prayers to Hangman, by the way. I didn't know he tested positive for COVID, so prayers to Hangman.
Man.
Oh, okay, yes. Um, Also the WWE. Okay. Uh, both for Universal and WWE champion, okay, he's Samoan. So, you know, you have Naomi and Sasha. Uh, who else? And go ahead.
Ray says, speaking of Oscar, she only gets the title when the company wants to transfer the women's title from a horsewoman to a horsewoman without having a horsewoman face each other. Um,
That's
I don't
pretty
know.
good.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't
Two
know.
times.
Uh,
That's enough.
okay. Not
No.
disagreeing. Maybe, maybe. Yeah.
Uh, all I'm gonna say is that WWE, they never knew how to really book the Asian wrestlers.
Ooh, come into the room.
Yes,
Yeah.
they never knew how to book, and AEW over books the Asian wrestlers. Okay, they try too hard, and WWE doesn't try at all.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why Nakamura shouldn't have won the WWE title at least once. But yeah. If
Yeah,
this,
I'm telling the truth. You know.
I'm not disagreeing. Well, guys, on Ray says, yeah, AEW does overbook Asian West. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't have a problem with how AEW books their Asian wrestlers specifically. They are getting better with the women's division, which is a good thing. You are seeing more women on television each week, which is always a nice change of
Yeah.
pace.
And
Yeah.
excuse me, but I didn't mean that to with AEW. I didn't mean that to, let's say, demean. I meant that in a way that they kind of cry too hard, and they try too hard uh to be diverse. Okay. Uh and that's kind of what I meant.
Yes, I definitely mean the Jade Cargill baddie section division, which I am looking forward to seeing this Friday on Rampage. We got, I
Oh,
believe it's Jade Cargill's baddie section, with our girl Kiera Hogan and Red
Yay.
Velvet versus Willow Nightingale,
Uh,
Trisha Dora,
yes.
and who else isn't? There's one other person in the match.
oh god.
I know it's Willow and Trish. I cannot remember the third person, and I'm gonna be
Uh
mad because I'm pretty sure.
it is Sky.
Sky Blue.
Blue.
Sky
Yeah.
Blue. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle this match.
Well, it looks like Carrera is gonna get a win
Yeah, finally on television, right?
on a Rampage.
Oh yeah. Ray says yes, Lord. What a match, Lord. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, you guys been great as always. We're getting ready to get up out of here. It is late here on the East Coast, and we have
Yeah.
things to do tomorrow. So, Dad, thank you for being on the show. We could talk to you for hours. You have so much knowledge. You've seen so much happen in the business.
Well, the next time Vincent's gonna ask me more questions.
King V's gonna ask you more questions. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I never met Vincent before, but unless you're talking about Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Yeah. I know that one. But yeah, so
well,
it's like Elias's younger brother Ezekiel. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. And that is Ezekiel. Okay, it's not Elias. I don't know
Sure.
what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
Look, I'm a Kevin Owens fan.
Me too.
Okay.
So happy for
I'm
Kevin.
big on Kevin.
Oh boy.
Okay. I agree with Kevin. I
Thank you,
think
John.
Kevin is the only one who really sees the truth.
Yeah. Well, no, Kevin's wrong. Okay. And I like Kevin, but Kevin's wrong about this. All right. I
Now,
saw the lie detector test episode. It's Ezekiel. It's not Elias. It's Ezekiel. I saw it myself.
they set it up.
No. Wrestling working us? No.
Yes.
Never.
Never.
Kayfabe is dead.
Huh? What?
Huh?
What? All right, guys, we're gonna get ready to get up out of here. Yeah,
Oh.
Manji says Elijah. Ezekiel. Okay. Oh
Oh, my
man.
goodness. Look.
Guys, we gotta get out of here. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
Thank you, Mr. Downey.
Where can they find the show and everything like that? V, take us
Oh,
home.
hey,
Yeah,
that's
take
me.
us home.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ooh,
take us home.
yes. Okay, so you can find us at @GoForThePin_show on Instagram.
Look what you did.
Go for the pin.
We'll edit it in post.
Oh my God! And Go for the Pin show on Twitter. God, I know things. And for me, you can find me at KingV_the ruler on Instagram and _watch my throne on Twitter. Mike.
Yeah, it's DJ Mikey Q on Instagram. Oh no, that's on Twitter. DJ Mikey Q on Twitter and Mike_EQ on Instagram. If you want to give your social media that you can. If you don't, then they don't need it. But it's all up to you.
Well, I don't do much on social media. I just look at it. And then complain to you about what people are saying.
Yeah. Well, this is very true.
Yeah.
And yeah, Vera did come again this week, and yeah.
Oh.
And I got out of there as soon as V came, I left. Thank you guys. Let's good night, everybody. Thank you. We will see you guys next time for Go for the Pin. Good night, everybody.
Good night.